If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you'll never miss a blitz. The Cleveland Browns just added yet another twist to their ongoing quarterback saga by signing Tyler Snoop Huntley, a move that not only raises eyebrows but forces fans, analysts, and most importantly the coaching staff to reconsider the current QB depth chart. It's no secret that Cleveland has long been known for its chaotic quarterback situations, and this year is no different. Even before Huntley arrived, the Browns were juggling 4 quarterbacks: veteran Joe Flacco, former Steelers starter Kenny Pickett, and rookies Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. All 4 have different styles, strengths, and trajectories, but now there's a 5th name in the mix, Huntley, who brings mobility, experience, and a certain unpredictability to the already volatile QB room. His signing isn't just a patch for a training camp injury crisis. It could be a sign that head coach Kevin Stefanski is not entirely sold on the options he's been working with thus far. And honestly, who could blame him? With training camp heating up in Berea, all eyes were already on Sanders and Gabriel, the 2 promising rookies who've turned heads with their athleticism, arm strength, and leadership potential. Sanders, with his flashy footwork and command of the pocket, was drawing comparisons to young Lamar Jackson, while Gabriel impressed with a compact release and impressive poise. However, veteran experience cannot be discounted. Flacco has a Super Bowl MVP under his belt and was surprisingly solid last season, while Pickett showed flashes of potential before his recent hamstring injury. The problem is, 3 of these quarterbacks are already dealing with various ailments. Pickett and Gabriel are both nursing hamstring issues, and Sanders is managing a sore shoulder. That leaves Flacco carrying the load in camp reps, a less than ideal situation for a team trying to evaluate who should lead the offense this season. Enter Tyler Huntley. The former Ravens and Dolphins quarterback brings a unique skill set to the table, something the Browns currently lack in their QB group. Huntley is mobile, confident under pressure, and isn't afraid to tuck the ball and run when needed. Last season, he logged over 800 rushing yards and contributed 3 touchdowns while tossing just 3 picks. His stats aren't off the charts, but what stands out is his dual threat capability and field awareness. For a team like the Browns, who might need to pivot to a more flexible game plan given their injury concerns and offensive line fluctuations, Huntley could be more than just insurance. He could represent a legitimate QB1 candidate if the chips fall a certain way, especially if injuries linger or if the rookies hit that dreaded mid-camp wall. What makes Huntley's return to Cleveland even more interesting is the fact that this isn't his first rodeo with the franchise. Back in 2024, Huntley had a brief stint on the Browns practice squad. At the time, the team was overloaded with QBs and his stay was short-lived. However, it seems the Browns never completely forgot about him. Stefanski's decision to bring him back now, when the team is again dealing with a flooded but fragile QB room, suggests there's a level of trust or curiosity about what Huntley might offer in a more stable setting. He's older, more experienced, and potentially more focused after bouncing between teams. Now, with a full training camp ahead of him, he has a genuine shot to prove he belongs, not just as a filler, but as a contributor. Just hours before Huntley signed, ESPN's Adam Schefter dropped the Browns' unofficial depth chart, listing Joe Flacco at the top, followed by Pickett, Gabriel, and Sanders. It was a surprise to some fans who believed Pickett might have edged Flacco early, but injury status clearly played a role. That chart, however, may already be outdated. Huntley's arrival changes the dynamics instantly. Assuming Pickett's hamstring takes time to heal and Gabriel remains limited, Huntley could start climbing the ranks simply by being healthy and available. Stefanski values consistency and durability, 2 things that Huntley may now offer more than the rookies. This isn't just a back burner signing, it's a potential reshuffling of the pecking order with preseason games looming. Kenny Pickett, who's determined not to lose ground, spoke about his rehab recently, showing his usual fire. "I'm trying to get back out there, as fast as possible," he said. "I've never had, a soft tissue injury like this. So really a first-time experience in my career." He added that he came into camp in excellent shape, even hitting new personal bests in speed and conditioning. That said, soft tissue injuries are notoriously tricky. Even a slight delay in recovery could open the door wide for Huntley or even Gabriel to eat into valuable rep time. Pickett's drive is commendable, but Stefanski and the Browns medical staff won't rush him back if they believe it could result in a setback. The QB battle just got tighter, and the margin for error has shrunk considerably for everyone involved. Meanwhile, Joe Flacco continues to be the steady presence in the room. He may not be flashy, but his understanding of the offense and calm demeanor give him a slight edge in this high-stakes camp. Flacco's recent reps have looked sharp, and he's building chemistry with the receiving corps. Yet the question remains, does Stefanski want a long-term answer at QB or a short-term plug? That philosophical question could define Flacco's fate. If Huntley shows he can make plays on the ground and keep defenses honest, he might present a more dynamic alternative. The coaching staff has to weigh whether stability or versatility better serves them in a division filled with elite pass rushers and mobile quarterbacks. The AFC North doesn't wait for you to figure things out. It punishes indecision. Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel still have everything to prove, especially now with another quarterback in the mix. Their reps have been solid, but neither has pulled decisively ahead. Sanders' sore shoulder could limit his ability to throw deep with accuracy, while Gabriel's hamstring issue is likely affecting his mobility and timing. If Huntley remains healthy and starts showing his value in live reps or preseason matchups, both rookies could find themselves slipping down the chart. It's not the end of the world for their development, but it does mean that their path to starting just became a lot steeper. For Sanders especially, who came in with a wave of hype, this could be a wake-up call that nothing is guaranteed, not even for the most talked-about young stars. What Stefanski needs right now is clarity, and oddly enough, adding a fifth quarterback might help provide just that. If Huntley can stay on the field and demonstrate poise, accuracy, and command of the offense, he might push others to step up or step aside. Depth at quarterback is a blessing when managed well, and a curse when it leads to uncertainty. Huntley could be the tipping point that helps Stefanski see who truly rises under pressure. And for Huntley, this is a golden chance at redemption in Cleveland, a city that briefly passed on him once before. This time, he won't want to let it slip. The Browns quarterback carousel keeps spinning, but as the preseason draws closer, fans are eager to see who takes control and who gets thrown off the ride. The stakes couldn't be higher as the Browns move deeper into training camp. With 5 quarterbacks fighting for limited reps, every throw, every snap, every read will be magnified. The preseason games will become a gauntlet, a survival test for QBs trying to avoid getting cut, relegated to the practice squad, or stuck permanently at QB4 or QB5. Huntley, for all his past inconsistencies, walks into this camp with a unique opportunity. He's got fresh legs, live experience, and a skill set that makes him dangerous. But this isn't just about talent anymore. It's about timing, health, and momentum. For the Browns, the quarterback picture is clearer than before in one way. Whoever wants it most and proves it fastest will win. Huntley might have entered late, but he's no afterthought. In Cleveland, the race for QB1 has never been more intense. And now it's anyone's game. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. There's a growing buzz swirling around the NFL right now. And if you've been plugged into the league's rumor mill lately, then you already know that Joe Flacco's name has started to resurface in unexpected ways. Just when Browns fans were starting to warm up to the veteran quarterback's surprising resurgence last season, whispers began to circulate that his time in Cleveland may be reaching its end. While nothing official has come from the organization, league insiders are beginning to suggest that Flacco's exit from the Browns could be imminent, or at the very least, under serious consideration. What makes this even more intriguing is how well he performed in a backup role last season, even flirting with a deep playoff push. His leadership, poise under pressure, and command of the offense made him a fan favorite in a remarkably short time. But as we know in the NFL, sentiment rarely wins over strategy or long-term planning. Multiple league sources have hinted that Cleveland's front office may be looking toward the future with a more youth-centric approach, potentially placing Flacco on the outside looking in. Even though Flacco brought veteran stability to a chaotic quarterback room, The Browns may now feel that they've squeezed all the juice they can from that lemon. It's no secret the franchise is trying to rebuild its offensive identity, and with Deshaun Watson locked in as a starter, despite an uneven showing last season, there might not be room for a seasoned vet like Flacco. The team reportedly wants to explore younger, more mobile options to back up Watson, reflecting a shift in offensive philosophy under new leadership and coaching adjustments. In this light, Flacco becomes more of a luxury than a necessity. This makes his departure seem not just possible, but perhaps even likely. The timing of this buzz is suspicious too, with preseason camps ramping up. Flacco's camp has been surprisingly quiet, but that silence speaks volumes in itself. Typically, when a player is secure, their agent or representatives offer subtle reassurances to the media or drop vague comments about looking forward to the season. But here, nothing. It's radio silence. And that kind of vacuum creates fertile ground for speculation. Some believe Flacco is keeping his cards close to his chest because he's already in talks with another team, possibly one in desperate need of veteran depth and leadership. There are rumors that teams like the Vikings, Patriots, or even the Falcons have quietly expressed interest. Flacco is the kind of quarterback who doesn't need a full offseason to acclimate. He's smart, experienced, and can learn playbooks faster than most. That kind of plug-and-play reliability is valuable, especially when injuries inevitably start piling up around the league. Could he be waiting for just that opportunity to present itself? Now, let's be clear, Joe Flacco isn't looking to start over from scratch. At this stage in his career, he knows exactly who he is. A backup, maybe a bridge QB, and definitely a leader in the locker room. But those attributes aren't limited to Cleveland. If the Browns don't value what he brings, someone else absolutely will. Remember how he stepped in last season and turned heads? That wasn't a fluke. It was a reminder to the league that even at 39, Flacco can still sling it when called upon. And if he's not being given even a sniff of opportunity in Cleveland, he might feel disrespected. These guys have egos, and when you've won a Super Bowl, you expect a certain level of consideration. Don't be surprised if Flacco is simply biding his time while his agent tests the waters behind the scenes. That's how these things usually go down. Another layer to this situation is the Browns' current roster construction. They've invested heavily in their defense and offensive line, but the quarterback depth behind Watson isn't particularly inspiring beyond Flacco. So why would they even consider letting him walk? Some sources believe it's about money. Not in the sense of Flacco being expensive, but in the sense of opening up every possible cap space for mid-season moves. Teams that want to stay competitive often make tough decisions early, especially with aging veterans who are seen as expendable. By parting ways with Flacco now, the Browns could be trying to free up a roster spot for a younger developmental QB who costs less and offers more upside. It's a gamble, of course, and one that could blow up in their faces if Watson goes down and they don't have someone like Flacco ready to step in and steady the ship. Fans in Cleveland are understandably divided about this. There's a sizable group that sees Flacco as a safety net, a quarterback who brings calm in the storm. They still remember that improbable playoff push last year and how Flacco looked like the best quarterback on the field in several crucial moments. But there's another segment of the fan base that wants the team to stop clinging to veterans and instead fully commit to developing younger talent. It's a philosophical tug of war that every franchise deals with at some point. Do you stay loyal to a vet who's proven, or do you chase upside with a less proven but potentially more dynamic option? And when you add in the expectations this Browns team is now facing, every roster decision feels magnified. A move involving Flacco could ripple far beyond the QB room, affecting team chemistry, media narratives, and even fan support heading into the season. Behind closed doors, you have to imagine there are some tense conversations taking place between Flacco's camp and Browns management. No player of his stature wants to be treated like an afterthought, especially after delivering under pressure. Some insiders believe Flacco was expecting a clearer path to a backup role this offseason, maybe even getting some snaps in preseason games to stay sharp. But from what we're hearing, the reps have been limited, the communication has been vague, and the writing might be on the wall. If that's the case, it wouldn't be surprising to see Flacco take matters into his own hands. We've seen similar scenarios play out across the league where veteran QBs opt to walk away mid-preseason, only to resurface a few weeks later with a contender that needs experience. This might just be one of those cases where both sides quietly agree to move on without fanfare. Adding to the uncertainty is the ever-changing quarterback landscape across the NFL. Every season, teams find themselves in crisis mode due to injuries, poor play, or unexpected retirements. If Flacco is released or chooses to step away from the Browns, you can bet his phone won't stay silent for long. He's too smart, too steady, and too experienced to remain unemployed for long, especially if a playoff caliber team finds itself in desperate need of a stopgap or insurance policy. Think about how teams like the Jets, Saints, or Titans might view a guy like Flacco if things go sideways with their QB situations. Even teams with rookie starters might want a seasoned voice in the room. So the idea that Flacco could be preparing for a quiet exit from Cleveland only to land somewhere surprisingly relevant isn't far-fetched. It might even be the most realistic outcome in this entire saga. If Joe Flacco does end up leaving Cleveland, it's going to sting for some fans, but it shouldn't come as a total shock. The NFL moves fast, and sometimes even a great run isn't enough to earn you long-term security. Flacco gave Browns fans hope when hope was in short supply. He was never supposed to be the guy, but for a few magical weeks he was. And now he might be packing his bags for one final ride elsewhere. Whether it's a return to the AFC North with a rival or a cross-conference switch to a team on the rise, one thing's for sure, Flacco's story isn't finished just yet. The guy has too much left in the tank and too much pride to fade quietly into retirement. Keep your eyes open and your ears sharp. Something is happening. The winds are shifting, and Joe Flacco may just be on the move once again. For now, the Browns remain publicly committed to Deshaun Watson. But what happens behind closed doors often tells a different story. Teams like to appear unified and decisive, but internal disagreements can bubble to the surface when preseason evaluations start. If Flacco is being iced out or underutilized, that's not a coincidence. It's a signal. And if there's one thing we've learned over the years, it's that veteran quarterbacks like Flacco don't stick around where they're not wanted. He's too proud, too experienced, and frankly, too valuable to be treated like a camp arm. So don't be surprised if the next time you see Flacco in pads, it's in a completely different uniform. Maybe even playing under the bright lights in a high-stakes game. Stranger things have happened in the NFL, and this story might just be beginning. Stay tuned, folks. This could get interesting real fast. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan. Hit subscribe and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!